Welcome back. This is video number 3 in our series taking a look at image 10 verse 8 of The Secret. In our last video we left off on JM's solution, and we had basically gotten to the end, and he had the grand idea that the juggler was the key and that you had to juggle the verse. It was an amazing idea. I think it has a lot of merit to it. Unfortunately, for JM, he failed to come up with the answer to the most important part of the poem, and so because of that, he went to the wrong location. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what he missed, and it's big. Before we get to that, though, I want to show you just how important imagery and symbols have been up to this point. And I'm going to be kind of blown away by how people haven't recognized this yet. First, we're going to start with the obvious stuff. The millstone, the walking stick, and the key obviously gave us the city Milwaukee. Everybody knows that. Another thing that's going on here is you have this amethyst that's blue. And if we take a look at the litany of jewels in the book, we have that the dwarf's treasure is the purple amethyst, and it's the imperial star of Germany. So obviously in this particular puzzle, the German immigration is kind of the key emphasis, which JM even admitted was a gap in his solution because he could not find anything in Lake Park that tied to the German immigration at all. Plus the jewel is supposed to be purple, and here it's blue. And so what's going on with that? Well, if you notice that this is being juggled at the same height as the red ball, and if you mix red and blue together, you get purple. And so I think what this is telling us is it's symbolizing the fact that everything in this is mixed up. We talked about how the start of the verse was mixed. We've gone in a circle, and now we're completely lost. We're mixed up. You have to figure out how to mix things the right way to get back on track. And I think that's the symbology of what's happening in that image with the juggler. Another thing that you see here is imagery within the verse itself. I mean, as we go down this, nothing is being literal here. You got the 3 stories of Mitchell, which is referring to 3 different environments within these domes. You have the beating of the world, which is a drum that holds up these domes. You have at a distance in time is 2nd Street. You have a woman, which is really a building. You have cast in copper, which is really referring to a penny. You have climbing the Grand, which is really a staircase. You have a compass, which is really a lighthouse. So you have all of these things that are pointing to the use of symbols and just imagery and things of that nature, which are referring to something else. And I was blown away as I was watching Expedition Unknown and listening to JM's solution, where they're talking about we got to find this birch tree. And up to this point, there's been example after example that something means something else. And so the first thing I did was I did a Google search on young birch. And I found that A Young Birch is a poem by Robert Frost. And if you take a look, this is an analysis that was done by a student. And it says, in the poem A Young Birch, Robert Frost establishes the futility of existence, despite having beauty, through the use of symbols, structure, and imagery. Does that sound familiar? Let's take a listen to what this poem says.
A young birch. The birch begins to crack its outer sheath of baby green and show the white beneath, as whosoever likes the young and slight may well have noticed. Soon entirely white to double day, and cut in half the dark it will stand forth, entirely white in bark, and nothing but the top a leafy green. The only native tree that dares to lean, relying on its beauty to the air, less brave perhaps than trusting are the fair. And someone reminiscent will recall how once in cutting brush along the wall he spared it from the number of the slain, at first to be no bigger than a cane, and then no bigger than a fishing pole, but now at last so obvious a bowl, the most efficient help you ever hired would know that it was there to be admired, and zeal would not be thanked that cut it down when you were reading books or out of town. It was a thing of beauty, and was sent to live its life out as an ornament.
So if we take a look at the verse, when we finish this line and we're standing there on the street wondering what the heck are we supposed to do, the next line says, "To the first young birch." Well, let's look at this poem again. Where is the first young birch? It's right here. At first, to be no bigger than a cane. This is talking about the life and death of a birch tree. And when a birch tree is young, it's no bigger than a cane. A synonym for a cane is a walking stick. And in our poem, the first time the word walk is used is in the very first 2 lines of the poem. Now, I mentioned that this was mixed up, and this is why this is important. The first young birch is a walking stick, so it's taking you back to the very first line of the poem. But that's not where you start. You start at a distance in time from 3 Who Lived There, which was Wells and 2nd Street. So we went all the way down here. We made this loop. We're confused, we're mixed up. But yet we read this poem and we realize we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And not to the first line of the poem, but to the first place that we started walking from. And that was 2nd and Wells. Now, this building that's right here on the corner of 2nd and Wells is the Germania building. And so in my next video, I'm going to show you how the German immigration theme will be fulfilled, and I'm going to show you where the rest of this poem actually leads to. I know exactly where this treasure has been hidden. Stick around.